What is MECE? Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive within operations management. According to the growing world, MECE is a systematic concern structure that aids in resolving complicated challenges. It can benefit practitioners in removing uncertainty and focusing on vital information that leads to success. But first, if you are new here, consider subscribing to this channel to continue receiving great weekly videos on consulting. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get informed every time I publish a new video. The MECE approach is a valuable platform for establishing strategy consulting companies that dissolve complex challenges into essential components which can be evaluated and used to assist people to go into the root of the issue in scenario discussions. Such a way of thinking is beneficial since it lets people eliminate repetition and simplifies current problem-solving alternatives. MECE is an acronym for multi-ethnic, mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. The MECE architecture is a valuable platform for accomplishment. It is the premise as straightforward as it appears. Each thing on the agenda has to be mutually exclusive. There should be no duplicates, so each item has to be self-contained. Furthermore, it must reflect the data in its totality, which the manager must overlook no option. Therefore, the listing should accommodate all possible circumstances. MECE is a primary method for organizing ideas in whatever people are doing. They have seen folks using the MECE framework to make shopping lists and leave email and texts. Whether or not people go that far, MECE is a powerful equipment that can prepare information collection, categorization, and communication to be more effective. MECE is split into two categories. Exclusive of each other, ME. By reducing duplicates, the purpose is to minimize complication. People employ such plan to achieve and explore a potential answer more than once. Whether there are multiple data sets, they will be done separately. Consider this a unilaterally exclusive overlapping graph in which two circles do not intersect. When companies impose exclusivity, people are compelled to consider each choice properly. Such a procedure results in far more in-depth description of the issues. Exhaustive collectivity, CE. Another goal of individually extensive CE is to create a thorough list of answers that leaves no possibilities untouched. People exhausted the options. The goal is to break an issue into a small number of broad categories. For instance, if someone needs to create a MECE for type of travel, they don't just gather information on foot, automobiles, bicycles, and cars. Establish main types such as ground, liquid, and wind. Such a procedure will keep them from overlooking any possibilities. Restricted relationships in operational business. MECE's first premise entails recognizing non-overlapping pieces of information which are linked to one another. That implies that key issue categories are entirely and unmistakably separate from one another in operations policy. Consider the following scenario. One is a contractor and their customer in an all-products company. Any products makes a range of foods and is searching for the next big hit market category. They've engaged a research agency to help them find out what to make next. Generally, extensive indicates that if all pieces of information are added together, they solve the overall issue. Extensive collective architecture may have all prominent concerns categorized into buckets that span the entire scope of what needs to be. If the consumer needs a comprehensive analysis of all alternatives, one container will probably be required. You gather all of your squad, then split them into categories: fruits, vegetation, food, milk, grain, and others. When a service gives its delivery afterwards, every product is pleased that MECE considered certain varieties of foods. The work is headed in the right direction. Strategists utilize the MECE issue structure to effectively decompose customer challenges into suitable, clear containers of investigation before assigning task forces to project advising teams. MECE under operational management. Consultants utilize the MECE issue structure to divide client challenges into suitable, clear containers of research. which they can then distribute as workflows to the project's consultancy team. MECE is a thought process that prevents thoughts from being jumbled. Whatever renders, the MECE structure is so robust that it then leads itself to the investigation with ease when the concepts are being organized. Users can follow each train of reasoning to its rational end without worrying about the repercussions for other things on the list. It helps a lot to have clear separation just at leadership. Splitting down a massive difficulty into shorter, more manageable portions can benefit taking the issue head on. When running a questionnaire to collect data or perhaps even explaining the outcomes of an investigation, using a special algorithm structure helps the ensuing concepts easier to read and digest. Using the MECE framework to categorize data. The MECE idea has also been condemned for being insufficiently comprehensive, since it does not eliminate extraneous components. Furthermore, MECE philosophy can be overly restricting because simultaneous exclusivity is not always desired. For example, although it may be helpful to classify all responses to questions in a MECE structure so that they may be considered simultaneously, constraining the reactions could be needlessly restrictive. A system that divides consultants into categories depending on actual abilities, musicians, choreographers, performers, and sports, is certainly neither mutually exclusive. A few of these abilities may be mastered by a large number of intelligent consultants. Furthermore, the listing isn't thorough in its entirety. The classification technique has been adequately disappointing, even though such an instance appears quite simple. MECE may use it in very complicated matters. Using a special algorithm structure to organize the information would allow visitors to dig deeper into the research with optimum transparency and completeness. Implementing the MECE model is also essential for understanding the issues that need to be addressed at the start of the research, providing many purposes and range clarity. MECE structures are possible to construct in 3 apparent steps. Start making use of a mathematical formula. The first piece of advice is to use a mathematical equation to dissolve a structure in a MECE manner. It is because the mathematical notion is MECE by definition. For a moment, let's return to the COLA is the most significant revenue scenario. Earnings equal revenue minus expenses, as we all understand, and we can build our foundation using that method revenue structure described above, which will be presumably familiar to everyone. However, economic scenarios aren't the only instances where the mathematical formulas technique can be applied. It seems to work effectively in any situation where people could be both predicting a figure or seeking for both the kernel of a budget issue in their opinion. Make use of a production process or procedure. Adopting a distribution network or a procedure to structure a foundation can be highly effective in some circumstances. Since each stage is distinct, their foundation would be locally exclusionary. In addition, if they include all of the steps along the way, their structure must be comprehensive altogether. Let's use this method to solve the problem. During operational and production scenario investigations, people found that this method works incredibly effectively. If people are not sure about the supply chain, they can still use this strategy by addressing the employer clarifying inquiries at the start of a scenario. For example, in this case, one could have said cola is the biggest, they believe, develops its goods in each of the nations in which it distributes. Was it accurate? Perhaps the interviewer may well have said something like, cola is the biggest is made up of 2 different sorts of crops. Each region has 3 or 4 cola concentration factories. This concentration then is taken to food shops and blended using water before being packaged. Users will be able to put up the structure above using this data. Make use of popular categories within operational management. Lastly, one can rely solely on lists of significant items in commerce and frequently show up during example studies to construct the structure MECE. Knowing these categories can give a substantial edge in negotiations. They recommend that students memorize all key points above them and add them to the list as they complete additional instances. Inside the assessed-based MECE. It is vital to discuss how MECE is utilized throughout the example study after reviewing how MECE has used it in practice. These investigations are harrowing 30-minute snippets of the 6-month procedure that often goes into solving a problem. Popular MECE justification. To take advantage of MECE, people should put it into practice throughout their daily routine. When separating the presentation slides into separate components, people usually offer an overview or review. They frequently condense lengthy papers into a smaller number of high-level ideas. Experts care about MECE. Professionals break down enormous complicated issues into digestible bits and quickly identify those primary factors that have the most significant impact. By breaking a client's major challenge into tiny buckets of substantial parts, consultants might identify situations. They'll also be able to coordinate alternatives. MECE designs provide 3 primary advantages that customers appreciate. It's straightforward. Its MECE concept, for example, encourages developers to develop frameworks that are clear and concise. Since there is no overlapping between the various elements, users can easily concentrate on them again and debate one piece at a time. It's never a good idea to blend apples and oranges. There's no chance of missing anything. The second advantage is if their architecture is MECE, people will not overlook any potential reasons for both the customer's problems because they have covered all. Customers are frequently concerned that they might skip anything, and being MECE gives them peace of mind. There will be no redundancy. Finally, using multiple analytical strategies allows you to ensure that the consultancy assignment is free of unnecessary complexity. It implies one can concentrate on our business. Customers like the club's ability to manage itself straightforwardly and consistently. Conclusions. MECE designs are beneficial since they are user-friendly and thorough, making it simple for customers to grasp what they've been doing. As a result, one must know what MECE stands for and then use the basic guidelines. To individuals training, for example, studies, advisors already within the field or life generally, the MECE concept is also an essential and proven tool. It allows people to concentrate better. Furthermore, advising groups can be more structured due to better recommendations and satisfied customers. If you liked the video, give us a like to make more videos like this one, and tell us in the comments section below what type of videos you want. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more weekly videos.